Hi. My book, The First Time, presents the results of my research into the various musical firsts that have taken place during the last 100 years or so. Chapter 1 is concerned with the invention and development of the electric guitar. I am going to read the beginning of this chapter, which will include some key music examples. The events I am describing took place 2 decades before the start of rock and roll, so that the music will inevitably have a vintage sound. The cultural and musical phenomenon that is rock music, defined as widely as anyone would wish, gains its strength and its power from a single musical instrument, the electric guitar. There have been, to be sure, a number of performers over the years, from Jerry Lee Lewis to Van der Graaf Generator to the Pet Shop Boys, who have not relied on the electric guitar at all. These, however, are the exceptions, worthy of comment precisely for that reason. The fact remains that as an icon for the popular music of the last 60 years, the electric guitar is the one. It comes as a considerable surprise, therefore, to realise that the invention of the electric guitar is not quite the clear-cut event that one would imagine it should be. So confused are the early years of the instrument that reference books find it necessary to qualify their descriptions of them by frequently adding the words probably or maybe, despite which the most widespread definite assertion that the first electric guitarist was the jazz player Eddie Durham does not actually stand up to close inspection. In The Guitar, the History, the Music, the Players, Dan Fort mentions the occasion when the country player Sam McGee played at Nashville's Grand Ole Opry on a guitar equipped with a primitive pickup of his own devising, holding the instrument flat on his lap and sliding a steel bar up the strings, in a style that was well established in the music even then. The conservative country audience was not impressed by the new technology, and McGee, despite being a regular performer at the venue, was told not to play his guitar again. Fort gives a date of 1926, which would have made McGee a major pioneer. On his website, however, the artist and musician Brad Sondal quotes Sam McGee's granddaughter as agreeing that her grandfather was the first person to play electric guitar at the Grand Ole Opry, but places the occasion as sometime in the early 40s. The Chicago Musical Instrument Catalogue for 1929 carried a full-page advertisement for electrically amplified guitars made by the Stromberg Company. Sadly, their chances of commercial success were destroyed by the stock market crash later the same year. It was left to the curiously named Rowe Pat-In Company to try again with a commercially produced electric guitar in 1931. Known as the frying pan, due both to its appropriate shape and to the fact that it was made from cast aluminium, the A22, together with its longer-necked sister, the A25, was made by a subsidiary of his established tool manufacturing concern by Adolf Rickenbacker. His engineers, George Beauchamp and Paul Barth, had designed a prototype version of the guitar made of wood the previous year. The frying pan had a very high string action, making it difficult to finger the strings on the frets, but it was intended to be played as a lap steel guitar with a slide. The technique, using an acoustic guitar, is demonstrated by Frank Hutchinson on the LP cover shown. The action of a guitar refers to the distance between the frets and the strings passing above them. On an easily playable guitar, this is very small. The frying pan was followed later the same year by a second Rowe Pat-In production. This was an electrified hollow body guitar known as the Electro Spanish, intended to be held upright and played in the fingered Spanish style. Only a very small number of either guitar was sold, but a musician by the name of Gage Brewer presented the first public performance of the frying pan guitar on Halloween night 1932 at the Shadowland Pavilion in Wichita. Shortly afterwards, Jack Miller played one at Grauman's Chinese Theatre in Los Angeles and subsequently went on tour with it as a member of Orville Knapp's orchestra. Hawaiian guitarist Sol Hoopy also played the instrument in live performance late in 1932, while Alvino Ray played one on his regular radio show in San Francisco. In February 1933, 4 tracks were recorded by Noelani's Hawaiian Orchestra, with an electric guitar given a prominent role. The tracks were issued on a pair of 78 RPM records, with Dreams of Aloha, coupled with Hawaiian Ripple, appearing first, miscredited to Noi Lane's Hawaiian Orchestra. To judge by the songwriting credits, the guitarist was Joseph Lopez, possibly the husband or brother of singer Noelani Lopez. That was part of Dreams of Aloha, played by guitarist Joseph Lopez, the first electric guitarist to appear on record. Orville Knapp's orchestra first recorded in August 1934, over a year later, with the sound of Jack Miller's guitar clearly audible. In late 1934, Bob Dunn joined Milton Brown and his musical Brownies, a leading country group working out of Houston, Texas, and he recorded with them in January 1935. Dunn did not play a product of the Rickenbacker Company, which had absorbed its guitar-making subsidiary by then, but rather an adapted acoustic guitar fitted with a pickup. Suggestions that Dunn needed to continually magnetize his strings in order for the pickup to work are probably the result of a misunderstanding with regard to the metal bar he used as a slide. According to fiddler Jimmy Thomason, as quoted in Carrie Janelle's study Milton Brown and the Founding of Western Swing, Dunn had taken the idea of amplifying his guitar from an unknown black guitarist he had met in New York. The energy and considerable virtuosity of his steel guitar playing makes it clear that Dunn was not only an electric guitar pioneer, but also the first to realize that his amplified instrument was an entirely new development and not just an acoustic guitar made to sound louder. A contemporary photograph of the musical Brownies shows the musicians dressed in smart business suits, like stockbrokers deciding to enjoy an unusual lunchtime break from their normal routine. And there is Bob Dunn at the front, the wire joining the guitar that straddles his thighs to the tiny loudspeaker in front of him, just visible. It is hard to imagine how this setup could possibly manage to deliver the stinging tone heard on tracks like Taking Off, but the evidence is there that it did. Despite the innovation and power of Dunn's playing, he was sadly not destined to maintain a high-profile career. The musical Brownies suffered a fatal setback when Milton Brown died of injuries sustained in a car accident in April 1936. Dunn made a number of recordings with a new group of his own, the Vagabonds, and also with the Texas Wanderers, led by another former member of the musical Brownies, Cliff Bruner. By 1940, however, he had stopped trying. He enlisted in the army, and after the end of World War II, he retired to Houston, where he studied for a music degree and opened a successful music shop. When he died of cancer in May 1971, at the age of 63, there were no obituaries to mourn the passing of a remarkable and important musician.